they seem to be creating, it's another form. It's another form. And their theaters were almost like amusement parks in a sense. So these films now, I think, are more like theme rides.
I think most people interested in film recognize this quote. The iconic, "That's not cinema," that has defined many people's ideas of what comic book movies are. But I have a question about it. Is Martin Scorsese right? Well, probably. I have no right to challenge his opinion. He's made dozens of films, and I've made a singular animated short film and a video essay on Weathering Through that is on the verge of being deleted by YouTube. But I'm going to do it anyway. I still love Scorsese's work, and I also like a lot of filmmakers and critics that don't like comic book movies. So I want to find my own answer to the question, are comic book movies cinema? And don't worry, I won't bring up this argument.
Actually, superhero stories are part of a rich folk tradition of mythological tales of gods and goddesses.
Every culture throughout history venerates its heroes, be they named Achilles and Odysseus, or Superman and Wonder Woman.
To answer the question, I think we need to know what can be classified as cinema. Well, that won't work. That's better. So, cinema, in the terms Scorsese uses it in, most likely means movies collectively as an art. I guess that also means we have to define art. The expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power, would be the best definition for this. So art is something that can be appreciated for beauty and emotion. Well, this is the technical definition. I think the definition of art can be taken further. Yes, beauty partially has to do with art, and emotion is probably the most important part, but I think there's one more thing that truly makes art art. I think that's the human part of it. Art shouldn't be defined by how different it tries to be or how much it tries to say about the world. The only way art can be made is by a person. A person paints, writes, directs. Without the artist, there can't be art. Artists pour their heart and soul into what they create, and I think that's what separates what is art from what isn't. It's tough for artists to put something personal out, especially when all sorts of people are going to find any minor criticism in their work. And on film sets, there are hundreds, even thousands of people that work just to get a movie out. So is that the answer? Is cinema just something that people put their heart into making? I'd like to think that, but it probably isn't. If cinema was just something people put their hearts into, then doesn't that mean every kind of film is cinema? I guess the definition of cinema really can't be pinned down because everyone has different tastes as to what is considered cinema. If every film was considered art, then that means that even bad movies could be considered art. But maybe they should be. I'm not talking about hateful or insensitive movies. They should most definitely not be called art. But movies that just had production misfortune, messy scripts, maybe they shouldn't all be considered trash. Yeah, they definitely shouldn't be considered god-tier movies, greatest of the great. But should all of film analysis be negative? I mean, yeah, there are a lot of poorly written or poorly shot parts of films, but it seems like nowadays everyone is just being negative for the sake of being negative. At the end of the day, we all love movies. I hope. And it sucks for people to put their heart into a movie and have people tear it apart for no regard for the fact that someone tried to make it. And yeah, that doesn't mean we shouldn't acknowledge flaws. Without it, filmmakers wouldn't improve. But maybe we shouldn't be as stringent at deciding what classifies as art and what doesn't. It kind of seems like I'm going very off track, but let me get there. So back to the question at hand. Should comic book movies be considered cinema? Maybe. I'm still not sure. If it were up to me, I would say they are cinema. Yeah, a lot of them can be mediocre or even bad, but there's a lot of good too, and a lot of heart in them. And the bad shouldn't overshadow the good. It should be the other way around. I love superhero movies. I've grown up with them, and no matter how mediocre some of them can be, I'll still watch them. But I say maybe as the answer to the question because it really isn't up to me. And for as great as Martin Scorsese is, it isn't up to him either. Earlier I went extremely off topic in my attempt to define art, but I don't think it really is something that can be concretely defined. Not everyone will love all art. Not all art will be universally loved. So saying that some people, no matter how influential they may be in the creation of art, can tell others what art is and isn't right. I love Scorsese's films, and he knows infinitely more about movies than I do, but I just don't agree with the idea that other people can define cinema for others. What each individual likes in a film is unique. Everyone can have different opinions on what cinema is. For example, look at Zack Snyder's work. People worshipped his work even if it was unpopular. Were they wrong for thinking his movies are good, or were we wrong for thinking it was bad? Well, neither are wrong, because film is subjective and there's no arguing about that. Yeah, my least favorite movie is the live-action Last Airbender movie. But maybe that's someone's favorite movie, and should I try to dissuade them from thinking that? No, because it's not up to me, and it's not up to anyone. It's just up to you. My least favorite movie is the live-action Last Airbender movie. But maybe that's someone's favorite movie, and should I try to dissuade them from thinking that? No, because it's not up to me, and it's not up to anyone. It's just up to you. As I stated multiple times before, artists put their hearts into their work. They make personal things and put them on display for millions of people to see. And for me, that's my definition of cinema, with the exception of hateful work, of course. And yes, comic book movies are part of that definition, because even though they aren't the most well-made films, I grew up with them, and for as long as movies are about the characters I love and made, I'll keep seeing them. But what I think is cinema doesn't have to be what you think is cinema. So in the comments below, I want to know what my non-existent viewers think cinema is. And I bet you're probably thinking at this point, was this video just a pointless clickbait? Well, maybe. But I hope at least one person sees this video and realizes that they don't have to listen to others to think about what cinema is. Because at the end of the day, it's just up to you.